But basically, why does Bitcoin keep going up? Now, for people that don't know why Bitcoin just keeps going up and up and up and up and up, there's a couple of big reasons why. There's a couple of reasons why I told everybody that would listen to me to buy it. A few people did listen, most did. All right. And the reasons are, it's this gold 2.0 narrative that I think most of us that are, everybody that's on this channel now is well aware of the gold 2.0 narrative. But basically, gold has been used for thousands of years as a store of value, and it's a very useful store of value. It's well recognized. It's fairly rare, but it's not too rare that it's prohibitive. It can be divided. It's divisible. You can smelt it into smaller pieces like coins, or take pieces off of coins, or turn it into bars or whatnot. But it's not super readily divisible. And then you can use it to transport large amounts of value fairly easily. I mean, you could load up a big suitcase, briefcase with it, or a vehicle with it. And so it's a good hedge against inflation. But we know in 2020 there was mass printing by central banks all over the world, monetary debasement. So inflation is what's going to be coming. But this printing and quantitative easing is highly asset inflationary, as you see, and all the markets keep going up and up and up. The difference, though, why Bitcoin is superior to gold, a couple of big reasons, are supply certainty. Nobody actually knows exactly how much gold there is in the world. There's some estimates out there, but nobody knows for a certainty. And the market cap is estimated to be between 10 and 12 trillion right now. But the reason it's estimated is because nobody knows how much there is. And nobody knows how much new supply there is, too. Nobody knows if there's a vast untapped reservoir of gold somewhere in the earth that nobody's found yet. And estimates are there's quite a bit of gold actually left to be mined. It's cost prohibitive to mine currently, but as new technology comes online and new supply and the price goes up, then it'll untap. So as the price rises too, the increase in gold supply goes up drastically, and incoming supply from new supply. But with Bitcoin, there's an absolute supply certainty. We know for a fact there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. We also know pretty much almost exactly how much new Bitcoin is being brought into circulation every hour, every day, every year, right? With almost finite certainty, because it's mathematical money, which makes predicting what's going to happen with it so much easier. It's easier to transact. I can send $1 million worth of Bitcoin anywhere in the world in minutes. Try sending $1 million worth of gold in minutes, and there may be services for that. I don't really know, but most likely you have to go acquire some gold, put it in a secure case of some type, put it on an airplane and fly it wherever, if you're going to send it halfway around the world. I can send $1 million, $10 million, $100 million with the Bitcoin to the other side of the world in 30 minutes. And it's easier to store. So obviously, if you're going to store vast amounts of, for those of us that might want to store a handful of coins or something at our house, that's not a big deal. But if you're talking a large amount of wealth, $100 million, storing that becomes a significant problem. And you have obviously lots of services to do that. Bitcoin is easier to store. Now, you have to understand a few things, but at the end of the day, it's easier to store and secure that. Not to mention Mars. So these are the main reasons why Bitcoin is going up right now. And when you look at the price of Bitcoin to gold, it's going to keep appreciating because it is superior to gold. And when as Michael Saylor and many others, look at where to put the money that they have in their reserves, or if you're an institution, investing for others, if you're looking at getting a good rate of return and the headwinds of inflation, these inflation hedges are the best place to put it. And since Bitcoin is superior to gold, Bitcoin will keep going up. Now, the other part of the question is will all these other cryptocurrencies keep going up? But I wanted to show this chart too. This is for people that don't know. This is the money printing that's happened since the year 2000, right? So this is new money supply, M2 money supply, that's coming online since the year 2000. You see there's a march upward of new money supply coming in. This is governments and central banks eroding the value of fiat currency to enrich a handful, But you see here, when the crisis hit, there's just an absolute monster spike of new 30% of all U.S. dollars were printed in the year 2020. Ever. Think about that. 30% of all U.S. dollars ever created were created in the year 2020. So the dollar is, Pax Gold is a crypto gold. So Bitcoin is going to keep going up. Now, we also have this halving cycle. And so with the halving cycles, for those that don't know, if I go to my long-term Bitcoin chart, you can see this kind of illustrated here. All right, I've got the halving cycles all marked out. Let's do a basic. Come on, why can't I zoom out anymore? It's not letting me zoom out to the. I have to go to the 3-day because it won't fit on a 1080p screen, but you get the idea. All right, so Bitcoin's just been going up and up and up and up since its beginning. This is a logarithmic chart. So basically, 1 cent to $10 is a third of it, and then $10 to $1,000 is a third of it, and then 1,000 to 100,000. You get the idea. And so, but this lets us see the growth of Bitcoin over a period of time. And you see in these vertical lines, these purple lines, these are the halving events. So something happens every time, and it should be fairly predictable. But whenever the supply, the new incoming supply, this is the halving supply cut for the miners. So the halving cut is the new supply of Bitcoin being brought in to the market by miners is cut in half every roughly 4 years. These purple lines indicate that. When that happens, almost, shortly thereafter, there's a big run up in the price of Bitcoin, and that's because of something called the stock to flow model is one model that'll show this, but it's just supply and demand, right? There's less supply, and demand keeps increasing for this asset over time. And so, once again, when the supply was cut in half, the new supply was cut in half in May, we saw a period of consolidation and the price has started to rise. And we have two things going on this cycle. We may be entering a super cycle, a coronavirus instigated super cycle, where because of all this money debasement and currency, we're going to have a monster increase in demand for inflation hedges like Bitcoin. At the same time, we've also just had the supply cut in half midway through the year, roughly, or the early part of the year. So this is what's led to this huge spike in price. Now, most people aren't here for that. So getting back to the charts and what had happened today, obviously Bitcoin's been on an absolute tear, and then as soon as it consolidated above this, and I forget exactly where I came up with this number. I think it's a Fibonacci number, but it's been interacting with it just almost perfectly. It's right above our top trend line here. So the trend lines we've all been working with, if I take the log off, it shouldn't be a log chart. The very top trend line, we're now above that. So we're in there is no known resistance above us. But this is a Fibonacci level. I think it may be the top end of like one of the main Fibonacci sequences. And we're above that. But as we consolidate above this, now we've got our first bit of alt season. I wanted to show this alt season. So alt season is when altcoins, coins other than Bitcoin, really pump in value. And this chart's our Bitcoin dominance chart. So this is what percentage of the total cryptocurrency market cap Bitcoin is. And you can see this is a very significant, this purple level here. It was our December 2017 high on the Bitcoin dominance. And we've come up into that recently, and we actually got a higher high here in September 2019. And today, or yesterday, we came into that December 2019 level hot and spiked above it, but then got rejected. And you see the daily, we opened down here, closed there, opened there, and closed way down here. So we got a pretty strong rejection on both of these levels now. This we'll see, should kick off alt season, where altcoins appreciate in value versus Bitcoin. Therefore, the total Bitcoin dominance, the total Bitcoin market cap of all cryptocurrencies should continue to decline. Now, looking at this on our long-term chart, for people that are newer with us, I wanted to show something, a couple of events that'll happen. And I'm just going to show the USD. Just so this is Ethereum's price versus the US dollar. And this is the main chart for Bitcoin's price versus the US dollar as well. So two things happened last cycle. Two things happened last cycle that I want all of us to be able to take advantage of. Okay. The first thing that happened was we had all this. So as Bitcoin fought, this purple line is the prior all-time high before this halving cycle, and the prior halving cycle, the prior peak. This blue line was the swing high in the bear cycle. So basically what happens is after we get, I think it's a swing high, did I get that right? After we make our new all-time high from our last market cycle, this looks like it's a little bit off, but it's close enough. Once we start our bear market, the highest point in the bear market is our bear market swing high. And I think these are closes. That's probably why I have these levels where they're at. Nonetheless, maybe even weekly closes. That's what we look at this 2017 level. That's what we're looking at. Way back here in 2017. All right. So when Bitcoin broke the prior all-time high, that I think it was like $1,000 something. I've got it in percentages because I have this comparison on here. When Bitcoin sold off, that's when Ethereum started to really pump in price. So Ethereum made a big leap in price when Bitcoin took out this high and then first sold off. So we've been on a tear and we're way above our prior all-time high. But nonetheless, we should see this inversion. This is what I call an inversion, where profits are taken from Bitcoin, put into other cryptocurrencies, Ethereum being the main one. And then the other thing that happens, and we'll get an opportunity to get back into Bitcoin here for a large portion probably, but we'll be able to open some more trades here because in theory, at some point when the whole cryptocurrency market gets really moving, and we may have already been here, so this may be where we're at right now, right? So we may just be in this phase. But altcoins simply outgain Bitcoin because of speculation and participants. How would new money come in to Bitcoin increase the dominance? Wouldn't new money coming into Bitcoin increase the dominance? It might. But remember, most alts are predominantly traded in their values versus Bitcoin. So a lot of retail traders, let's just go to these charts right here. A lot of retail traders watch the US dollar price, but people that are really kind of more, that more actively have been trading this longer, and institutions, they're going to look at these currencies versus the cryptocurrency reserve asset, which is Bitcoin. So these USD charts are nice to look at for looking at what retail traders might be doing next. But what really matters is their valuation versus Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the reserve asset of cryptocurrency. So just because money is flowing into Bitcoin doesn't mean that the price of other assets, you don't have to have money coming in to something for the price of an asset to go up. You can simply not have sellers anymore. And so if you have people that are not, because the price of Bitcoin is going up, I also don't want to part with my Ethereum or ADA or Link because I know they're going to follow, the rising tide raises all ships here. So if I know that all these other coins are going to go up, I'm not going to sell. And so the market has to balance, supply and demand. And if I'm not willing to supply, my coin to the market because the price isn't where I want it to be versus Bitcoin, well, then the price will move not from money coming in, but from sellers not willing to sell. And so there's a couple of market dynamics there. So yeah, it doesn't have to be that money is flowing into these. And today clearly was money flowing into Ethereum, right? It's not going to move that much unless people are buying it. But there are people buying it that are taking out the willing sellers in these levels. I'll get rid of percentage. So, what happens is so when Bitcoin's making these big moves, the sellers down here, there's less and less willing sellers in this area because as Bitcoin's moving up, everybody's going, well, the value of my Ethereum's, the US dollar value. When Ethereum was dropping versus Bitcoin, Gauge versus Bitcoin, Ethereum's, I'm not going to sell down here. So as Bitcoin's moving up, you have less and less willing sellers. And so, and then especially when new buyers come in and you have a reduction of sellers, this is when this type of move happens. And that's what alt season really is. It's the confluence of people not wanting to sell their cryptocurrencies because they see Bitcoin going up, and the addition of new buyers coming into the market. So you've got both sides of the equation, supply and demand, and price goes way, way up. No problem, hi. I hope that makes sense, yeah. All right. So